Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ahistory. This is our third update and our second to last update before the 2024 U.S. presidential election. We're just doing some analysis. We're doing some predictions. We're taking a look at all the polls. We're taking a look at some, weird data about the elections, and we're coming up with our own predictions, right? So I encourage you to leave comments down below. Tell me what your prediction is. If you like what you see as far as, the type of prediction, you learned something, you like the prediction, you want to share something else, whatever, go down there, hit that like button, subscribe. We do more things than just election stuff on this channel. Primarily, we do history videos. But anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and hop in and let's get this going. Behind me, you can see the 270 to win map. This is just a nice blank map I like to use because it shows our battleground states pretty well. That's Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. So, we've been using this quite a bit, and it's done us pretty well, I think. So now, I want to show off something really quick before we get too deep into all this. This is a cool little thing that luckily NBC News has been pushing out, and this is the early in-person and mail-in voting counts, that have been tallied up. This is kind of astronomical because, most times most people don't do mail-in or early voting. This is something that's been kind of new in U.S. elections over the last, I say, 2 or 3 election cycles where people have started trying to, started going more early. The mail-in stuff really hit in 2020, so it's kind of cool to see the stuff get tallied up in advance. But anyways, if we just take a quick look at the battleground states, 648,000 votes in Nevada, 1.2 million in Arizona, 850,000 in Wisconsin, a whopping 1.6 million in Michigan. Pennsylvania's seen 1.2 million. North Carolina's seen 2.7 million early votes, and Georgia's seen 2.8. As somebody who lives in Georgia, this is all I'm hearing about right now. How many people are early voting in my county? I've done counts. My county, which normally sees about 80 to 90,000 votes, has already seen 35 to 40,000 early votes. So, that means over half of my county has voted early. People are taking advantage of the options. I think that's a wonderful thing to see happening. And I think, I honestly didn't expect it to be 42% for Democrats and 40% for Republicans. I kind of expected the Republican number to be down more because generally Republicans vote on the day of and Democrats take advantage of the other options. This could be somewhat indicative of how things are going in this election. So we do need to remember these numbers. I might revisit this because NBC did update this as of 2 a.m. On the 28th, October 28th, which, this is early morning for me. So I think it's pretty cool. We'll probably try to come back to this and take a look at it. But anyways, let's go ahead and get to our polls, because that's what we're all here for, right? We're here for the polls. So here's our national polls right now, according to 538. Let's see, last week, Harris was ahead by 1.8% of the popular vote. She is currently ahead by 1.4%. So we've seen a 0.4% increase in favor of Trump. I will say this, that sounds very minuscule this is happening across the entire United States. Every poll that 538 takes in, it's now starting to see still seeing that lowering, though it has, in my opinion, slowed down pretty consistently. At the beginning of October, she was ahead by 2.6%, and now it's down to 1.4. So almost half of her lead is gone. So, at the end of the day, she's probably still going to win the popular vote, but it's about the electoral vote, which is why we're going to be looking at all this battleground states here shortly. Let's go here to our national polling for RealClearPolitics. RealClearPolitics is showing Trump ahead by 0.1% of the vote. So they're thinking that Trump's going to get a popular win. I just don't see it. It's possible. I just don't see that myself. But I think what RealClearPolitics shows, that's the most important thing to see, is seeing this on this day in history when it comes to other polls or to older polls. On October 27th in 2020, Biden was ahead by 7.4% over Trump. Clinton in 2016 was up by 5.6% over Trump. So what we're seeing is Real Clear Politics thinks that Trump is doing way above what he's ever done. Anyways, let's come take a look at 538's favorability ratings, my favorite poll, because I love to see this because, again, I still think this is what's going to lead to turnout. A little change here, and it could be a big change on the map. So a week ago on October 21st, let's see, got to get to it. Kamala Harris was 0.7% unfavorable. She is currently 1.4% unfavorable. She is double as unfavorable as she was a week ago. That could be 100,000, 200,000 votes. Who knows? And we'll just have to see. I mean, I think it's wild to think that here she was, even on October 1st, and she was, 1.3% favorable. And now she's at 1.4% unfavorable. A complete swing the other direction. Very wild. But again, this matters for Kamala Harris because she needs people to turn out. A higher turnout election generally favors Democrats, especially when you've got a situation with Donald Trump, because Donald Trump, we've already seen that. More people showed up in 2020 to vote, and Biden won. In 2016, Clinton could not get people out to vote for her, and Trump ended up winning in those key crucial battleground states, and that's what gave him the win. So she needs to turn this around. Now, there hasn't been that many gaffes this week if you've been following the election, the campaigns. I think the only thing that might have been a gaffe was Kamala coming out and laughing at the religious supporters in one particular rally and saying that they're at the wrong rally. I mean, I think that's a gaffe. I don't think you mess with the evangelicals. Christians don't do that. That's still a big group of voters. Especially among key minorities. When we start talking about the black male vote, we start talking about the black female vote, and we start talking about Hispanic votes. Those are very, there's a lot of Christian votes there. I'm not going to say, and not going to go crazy and say something like you're at the wrong rally. That, that doesn't look good. Now, lo and behold, it may not mean anything, but if I'm looking at this right now, she's more unfavorable than she was a week ago. So maybe she needs to start turning that around. She needs to start going and having some real, she had a town hall that she did okay at. And that's the thing. You got to do more of that. You got to get in front of real Americans asking real questions. This is where the Trump Vance ticket's doing really well. They're getting in front of people and they're answering questions. So anyways, just my 2 cents on that. Anyways, let's look over here at Donald Trump just for the sake of looking. Donald Trump was at 8.7% unfavorable. And then a week ago, he was at 9.1, a 0.4% increase on his part towards favorable. This doesn't really matter for Trump. Why this matters for Trump and not Harris is because Trump's already disliked by a lot of people, but the people who like him are not going to change. So, Kamala, you got to get people to like you more people like you than that like Trump. And you got to have them like you in the key spots. Anyways, let's go look here at Nevada. We can actually start looking at these states. Trump is ahead by 0.3% in Nevada. He was actually down by 0.3% a week ago. Wow. So we've seen a switch here. According to 538, Nevada has now gone Trump. So we'll see if that holds, but that's a 0.6% swing. We go over here and look at 538. Now, 538 is not showing really any additional polls for Nevada and for several states. I've already looked at some of these. So they're showing Trump is at 0.7% ahead. I think what happened is a lot of these pollsters decided we're going to withhold some polls until the last week, and we're really going to hit 2 or 3 polls during this time. So give it a week. This is probably all going to shift a ton on Real Clear Politics. But 0.7% in favor right now. They were at 0.7 a week ago. So we're just going to hold that position right there. What's important to look at, though, is Biden was ahead by 4.6 and Clinton was ahead by 2 in Nevada, 4 and 8 years ago. So Trump's doing better, according to Real Clear Politics, than he was in his last 2 elections there. Arizona, a week ago, Trump was 1.9% in the lead. He is now 1.8, a minuscule change. That could be just some polling data, a little different, a different polling group, a different poll altogether. Just that's minor. We're not gonna look too deep into it. If you see half a percentage point, you care. Look over here. Arizona does have new polling data on Real Clear Politics. A week ago, we were looking at 1.8% in favor of Trump. Now we're looking at 1.5% in favor of Trump. So a 0.3% increase for Kamala there. Biden was looking at winning it 2.4%, Clinton 1.5% in Arizona. So Trump's outperforming himself still, according to Real Clear Politics. Let's go to Wisconsin. Wisconsin showing 0.3% in favor of Harris a week ago and 0.2% now. Again, could just be a different polling group, way to poll. Again, doesn't really matter too much. It's just right now, it's just holding there. Wisconsin, we're looking at no new data. We're still seeing 1022 here. It's 1028 when I'm doing this, early in the morning. 0.4% on the 21st versus 0.2 now. Again, I can't say really what they did differently, but it could just be a couple different polls. That's it. Again, Biden was ahead by 5.5% in 2020. Clinton by 6% in 2016, and Trump's currently, according to them, ahead. So we'll see. He may really be ahead in Wisconsin. He may not. Let's go to Michigan. On the 21st, Harris was ahead by 0.2%. She's now ahead by 0.4%. So she's doubled her lead, but that's a minuscule amount. So we don't really worry too much about it, or we really don't think too much about it. Let's go take a look at what Real Clear says. 0.2%. There's been almost no new data out since I checked last. I mean, we're talking the 23rd. Yeah, we're talking 0.2. Yeah, it stayed exactly the same. No change. Biden, they expect, at this point in 2020, Biden was ahead by 9% and Clinton was ahead by 7% in Michigan. Of course, Trump flipped this in 2016 and it flipped back in 2020. Who knows? I mean, again, it's just close. All I know is Trump's doing better according to Real Clear Politics. Now that, again, they could have changed how they do their polls during that time. I'm sure they did. And if that's the case, I mean, this may not matter so much on Clinton's side. Probably matters a little bit more on Biden's and Clinton's. But still, let's go to North Carolina. Take a look. October 21st, Trump was ahead by 0.8. He's now ahead by 1.4. That's a 0.6 change. That's more than just a few polls. That's showing some general increases. It's more than half a percentage point. So North Carolina is trending a little bit more in favor of Trump. So, 1.3. Sorry. Anyways, that's still, 0.5? Yeah, so still half a percentage point. Let's come over here and take a look. No new real data over here according to Real Clear Politics. They're showing 0.8% in favor of Trump. We're looking at Biden was ahead by 0.7% at this point in 2020. Clinton was ahead by 3% in North Carolina. North Carolina is a weird state. It's gone Democrat a few times. It's gone Republican quite a few times. And it kind of flip-flops. It's been probably the most swing state that we still have on here from the last maybe 15, 16 years. Take a look at Georgia. Georgia, October 21st. 1.5% in favor of Trump. Currently now 1.5%. Zero change. There was a few polls in there because we saw 0.6s and 0.7, 1.6 and 1.7. But it's currently 1.5. Dead even change. Dead even. Let's go over here to 2020. We'll take a look. It was 0.4% in favor of Trump in 2020 and 2016. Trump was ahead by 2.5%. He's currently 2.3% ahead. We do have some new polls. And according to them, 2.1 to 2.3, very minuscule amount of change. Still, it's an upward increase for Trump by just a tiny smidgen. Could be just some polls, just a few polls difference, not much. Finally, we're going to hit Pennsylvania. We all love to see Pennsylvania. So Pennsylvania was 0.3% for Trump last week. It is currently 0.3 for Trump still. It's just maintained itself. There's been some 0.4s in there and some 0.2s, so it's kind of fluctuated a tiny bit with some polls, but not much. We come over here and take a look. Trump is at 0.5% according to them. They have had new polls. On the 21st, he was 0.8, so it's gone about 0.3% more towards Harris since in the last week, but it's 0.5 still in Trump's camp. Biden had this in 2020 at this point by 3.8%, Clinton by 5%. So, still a Trump flip if it does happen. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at our states and see how the electoral vote shakes out based off what we have now. So first we're going to look at 538. So this is the polling map according to 538 last week. They had Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan in the Harris-Walz camp, and they had Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania in the Trump camp. So where is it sitting now? Well, if we take a look at all of our states, Pennsylvania is still in favor of Trump. Georgia's still in favor of Trump. North Carolina is still in favor of Trump. And Arizona is still in favor of Trump. Michigan is still in favor of Harris. Wisconsin's still in favor of Harris. But we have a change here in Nevada. In Nevada, there was a slight change here. Is 40, according to 538's polling, it is 47.5% to 47.3% in favor of Trump. So Trump, according to them, is taking Nevada, and at least if these polls hold, and if that still happens, we're looking at a Trump victory, 287 to 251. Now, reminding though, a lot of these states are so close that, I mean, we're talking the margin of error is still in play. If it's less than 2%, in my mind, the margin of error is still out there. I wouldn't mark a state safe until it's 3.5%. So, or at least more, to likely until 3.5%. And I wouldn't make it truly safe until 5% or more. So they may have done some of that differently in here, but at least I can tell you, I feel like 538 is probably right on the money. Let's go ahead and take a look at RealClearPolitics. RealClearPolitics didn't have a lot of poll change. They didn't have a lot of polls this week. I think like I said, I think they're saving that up for next week. A lot of these polling groups that they use. So if we take a look though, there's really been no real change anywhere across the map. They had Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia all being swept by Trump. No change there. So they think that Trump is going to win 312 to 226. I personally feel that's a little ambitious. I'm not so sure about these two Rust Belt states of Wisconsin and Michigan. Here is my prediction from last week. I had Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania going to Trump, and I had Wisconsin and Michigan going to Harris. This is exactly what the 538 map has now. And I'm going to tell you right now, I feel pretty confident still in my prediction. If RealClearPolitics would have put out some new polls, it may have changed my mind. I looked at some of the early voting stuff for these guys. Nothing really changed my mind. I will say this. I am potential to switch Wisconsin. I'm not going to right now, but Wisconsin is close enough for me to want to switch. So we'll take a look at the data coming out this week. I'll make a final prediction next week. The next video you see me in that's election content will be me giving you my final prediction. Because the next time you see me will be the Monday before the election. Polls at that point pretty much don't matter. It doesn't matter what comes out next Monday in polls. What matters is what happened. What matters is this coming week. And then you'll see me, you'll probably see me again a day or two after the election when everything's decided and we have a winner. And at that point, I'll probably come on here. We'll do a real kind of a nicer, deeper dive into our battleground states, any states that flipped. that we weren't expecting to, any weirdness that I feel needs to be brought up. So that'll be coming up then. But for now, I feel good enough to keep this here. But for right now, I feel like this is safe. I think that Trump is going to win 287 to 251, and we'll just have to see how this all works out. I could be 100% right on the money. I could be 100% off. Who knows? I definitely don't think Trump's going to win the popular vote. I just don't see a Republican like Trump winning it. It's going to take a very well-liked person to do so. We're going to leave it there. If you have your own thoughts, if you have your own counts, post them down below. Tell me what you think. Where do you think I've got it wrong? Where do you think these other folks have it wrong? Do you think something's going to flip or not? Somebody thinks Illinois is going to flip Republican this year. I don't see that at all. No offense to that commenter. Chicago rules that state. It's politics for a reason. It's so populated. I don't, Southern Illinois just cannot outweigh it. Maybe eventually, just not now. But, if you think something else is going to change, post out there and let me know. If you think Virginia or South Carolina, Florida is going to change, tell me, and we'll talk about it. I tend to respond to comments. Like the video or dislike it, whatever one you want to do. Subscribe if you haven't already. Tell my my actual alternate history viewers. There's not much more of this left. Like I just said, there's 2 more videos, and then we're back to you guys are going to get a new Ahistory alternate history content this week, and then we'll be back on our normal schedule after that. So anyways, guys, I appreciate y'all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.